Story 1. Getting to do my chores whenever I want instead of having to do them by a certain time because they will bother someone else. Story 2. Spontaneity. Example. The ability to just say, forget it, after work and spend the whole evening at the bar without giving anyone notice. Story 3. My spouse travels for work a lot, and I always look forward to a few days living the single lifestyle. I usually miss her before the first night. Story 4. I'm nostalgic for my little studio apartment where I lived for 3.5 years right before I got married. It was very homey, just me and my dog, with my 90-year-old neighbor upstairs who was always in a great mood. I could walk everywhere from my neighborhood. It was great. I was very content there. I'm content now too, but life looks very different with a baby, husband, dog, and shared space. I wouldn't trade it. The only constant is change, so I'm grateful to think back on those times very fondly. Story 5. Doing whatever I want, whenever I want. Eating something or absolutely nothing for meals. Also, my house was a lot cleaner. Story 6. Just spending a day off rotting away in front of the television. Playing video games and ordering junk food. Right now, my wife simply disapproves. She does not get angry or upset. She simply disapproves, and I feel this nagging sense that I should not do this. Seriously, playing games all day, getting drunk, and ordering junk food. How good can life be if everyone just left you alone when you need it? Story 7. Slow, leisurely mornings all to myself. No one to talk to, no one to answer to. I can just drink my coffee and ease into the day however I want. That and spontaneity. Story 8. Being silent. I miss when I could just go quiet for a few days, and my friends and family would think I am busy with work or school or something else. If I do not talk to my spouse for a few hours, he wonders if I am upset about something. Story 9. There is always a serious discussion to be had or something that needs to get done. I miss just waking up at 12 on a Saturday and enjoying my own time, pace, and schedule. Story 10. Being able to stick to my diet is important. My slow metabolism cannot keep up with his bottomless pit of a stomach anymore. Story 11. Literally absolutely nothing. My wife and I are best friends. We still do whatever we want, which usually involves hanging out with each other or playing video games and reading. We both play games and we watch shows together and separately. I would not change a single thing about it. I am 1000% the luckiest man alive. Story 12. When your spouse does not engage with most of life outside of the home, it can be much lonelier than living alone. I guess I miss the freedom to choose whether I have solitude or company. Story 13. Not having to tiptoe around their moods and emotions. I have to watch them self-destruct because saying anything would be controlling and critical. Story 14. Not having to do family dinner every night. When I come home from work, I'm tired. I need about an hour to decompress as soon as I get home. But when you're married with kids, that's not allowed. You come home, you have to get dinner ready, sit in some uncomfortable kitchen chairs, and be social with your family. But most of the time, I just want to sit on the couch, relax, eat a bowl of cereal, and not think about anything for the rest of the night. Story 15. Things being put away and no one trying to stick anything up my butt when I am doing chores, such as washing dishes, folding laundry, or sleeping. Story 16. Silence. Coming home and getting an hour of reset time before deciding on dinner. I just want a sandwich for dinner or cheese and crackers. That is sufficient most of the week. Story 17. 2 things. 1. A quiet house. My husband has the loudest presence. He walks loudly, talks loudly, he snores loudly, and his physical presence in the house is loud. I don't know how to describe it. Even when he's trying to be quiet, he somehow manages to be loud. I find it very overstimulating when I just want total quiet. A clean house. I could keep up with myself, and things never got messy. But adding my husband made it impossible. He is a very messy person, and we have very different standards of clean. I just don't have the energy to deal with it all the time. Somehow, adding one person to our household felt like adding 10. Story 18. Get home from work, get in bed, watch my shows. Not worry about what anyone else wants to eat for dinner and just have the ultimate girl dinner. Story 19. Not much, honestly. However, I also married someone who shares all of the same hobbies as me. Games, anime, bicycling, and so on. If I ever get into something new, she is usually interested too, and vice versa. Story 20. A handful of popcorn, a couple of pickle spears, and a spoonful of peanut butter do not make a dinner anymore. Story 21. Sleeping alone without snoring or someone else moving around. But I know one day I might really miss those snores. Story 22. Not having to wait for them to be home to watch a new episode of a series. That's all. I love my wife. Story 23. Mine is a double-edged sword situation. I miss the ability to be fully in control of my own schedule. If I want to do nothing for an entire weekend, I could do that. My wife makes plans that often involve both of us, and while most of the time my involvement is voluntary, it would be disappointing to make her spend the weekend alone, for example. On the other hand, much of the time her ideas for how to spend our time turn out better. I would probably be a hermit without her. Story 24. The thrill of meeting new women online. Never knowing if she would be amazing, terrible, or difficult. Never knowing if nothing would happen, if we would be intimate or anything in between. It was always exciting to me going into a first meeting. But being married is like having endless amazing dates. Story 25. To be honest, nothing. My bachelor life was about getting a job and earning enough to afford paying for my apartment and bills by myself. But when I started dating my wife, I realized that I did not care about the things you can do as a bachelor. So I am good. Story 26. The only things I miss are mostly the unhealthy habits I used to have. While I may miss them, I am definitely better off without those habits. Story 27. I have always preferred to be in a relationship, and my wife gives me plenty of space when I need it. Honestly, I do not miss being single. Story 28. Being able to turn the light on and just read, watch something, or relax in bed when I have insomnia is helpful. I hate having to get up and go to the living room, but I love my husband and do not want to interrupt his sleep. Story 29. Nothing. Life is infinitely easier with two people doing laundry, shopping, dishes, vacuuming, bill payments, and so on. Story 30. Freedom to make life choices, such as taking a job in a different city, without considering someone else and their needs and opinions. Story 31. Girl dinner. Eating snacks for dinner whenever I want and not having to cook a full meal by 6 p.m. or someone gets hungry. Story 32. I am not married, but I miss being able to go out and do things without having to tell someone. I still live with my parents, and when I am leaving, I say something like, "See you later. I am heading out to Katie's." With a boyfriend, I have to wonder how he will feel about the places I go, when I am going, and who I am with. There is always the chance that he will invite himself. Story 33. Spontaneity and time. One does not really do much without the other, and now I have a lot less of both. Story 34. A whole bed to myself was pretty sweet. I am generally a neat person, but when I was single, I could leave the house a mess for days if I wanted to. Now, if I did, I feel like it would be pretty rude to make my husband live in my mess. Story 35. Watching anime and Korean dramas after work. Now it is cooking, cleaning, office work, and sleep. We both have different tastes when it comes to the genre of shows we watch. Sometimes we watch together, but we cannot agree to watch something chosen by the other person. I miss my free time sometimes. Story 36. A clean house. I'm not perfect, but when I set something that needs to go downstairs at the top of the stairs and he walks right by it with open hands and goes downstairs. Story 37. Not that my life is really restricted, but I just do not have to consider someone else's feelings when playing music, watching television, or deciding what to eat. Story 38. Not gonna lie, just persevering through that difficult situation, safely of course, but simply doing it. Different people, different sizes, different vibes. All of it. Story 39. I got married way too young. I can't really think of anything besides hanging out with friends at wild parties, but I can't say that I miss it. Story 40. Coming home from work, joining a game with friends, playing for a couple of hours, making a quick dinner just for myself, and returning to the game until bedtime. Story 41. Having a motorcycle. Honestly, I cannot enjoy riding the same knowing I have people waiting for me at home. Story 42. Before she gave birth to our 2 children, my wife never snored. I could not tell you a single time that she snored before childbirth. Now, it is a race to try and fall asleep before she does. Being married is overall a lot of fun though. I do not know what I would do without my wife and kids. They give me love and purpose that I never thought I could experience. Story 43. Married almost 42 years to the same amazing woman. I miss nothing from bachelor life. I hated not having a wife. Story 44. Sharing food is the nice thing to do, but a weekend without hearing, "Oh, can I have a bite? One, or try it?" would be lovely. To be clear, we each have our own snacks that we will claim, saying, "This is mine." I've been looking forward to it being all mine. However, would I like to selfishly eat all 15 of the mint Milanos and suffer the consequences? Just twice a year would do. Story 45. Eating food so spicy that my stomach feels cold or I start getting lightheaded. I should probably thank her for steering me away from that, as it would not do me any good at my age. Story 46. Getting to use money on myself versus my family. However, I have considered this, and it is a paradox. I feel that if it were not for my family, I would not have been so determined to excel in my career. Most likely, I would not have the same income one have now, so I am not sure if there would be a situation where I would get to enjoy my money. Story 47. I do not care for single life. I love my wife dearly. Parenthood, on the other hand, is a whole different experience. I never knew how good life was until our child was born. Story 48. Not having to keep the other person updated with what is going on. Not that my dear husband has an opinion about what I am doing, just some days it is that extra bit of effort to keep him in the loop that is just frustrating. Story 49. The ability to move on. When things got tough, I was able to find something different or do something different with my life. If I was not happy, I could change my circumstances. I love my partner, but I now have to think about how my decisions will affect both of us and our life together, not just myself. Story 50. Having the house to myself, just quiet. There has not been a moment's silence in this place since 2015. Story 51. Working late on a Friday. Once everyone started packing up and leaving, my workplace was so quiet that I finally had time to get all this work done. I could start and finish things between 5:30 and 7 p.m. That would take me an entire Tuesday and more because of meetings. That said, I was no ascetic. Everything opens up later on Fridays and Saturdays, in which case, so yeah, I missed happy hour. So what? I can afford to buy beer, whiskey, or pub food at regular price. Also, to see a place clear out post-happy hour and have some peace and quiet to drink a late Friday night beer is worth it. It's like shopping for groceries during the big game on Sunday. I get too nervous watching in real time anyway, and the post highlights are fine with me. Nowadays, my spouse logs off at 5 p.m. in our time zone and can't wait to start the weekend with me. Fortunately, they are an early bird, and a couple of nights per week I just stay up late and get the same work done. But admittedly, it's just not the same. Story 52. Not having to cook every day. Spontaneous plans with other unmarried friends. Now, meeting friends means everyone needs to check their work and home calendars and find a time 6 weeks later. The freedom to just plan your day to do whatever you want. Story 53. Not married but in a long-term relationship. I love it when my partner has to travel for work. We do not have children, so I can do what I want in my own way. I do not shower, sleep in the starfish position in our bed, do not make the bed, eat my snacks in bed, leave the dishes in the sink overnight or for a few days and leave the kitchen a mess. I go to sleep with the television on, shower, and use the restroom with the door wide open. I burp, fart, and look messy while I scratch my butt. These are moments of freedom where I can be alone and just be myself without having to be a considerate partner because he is gone. It is wonderful. It is also wonderful when he is back because we have had time apart and we are happy to see each other. Story 54. Nothing really. We do not have kids, so either of us can basically do whatever we want, whenever we want, either together or separately. She wants to go out with the girls randomly? Cool, I will pick you up later. I want to go out on the motorbike on a weekend? No worries, see you later. There is a little forced family or outer circle friend hanging out we have to do occasionally, but honestly, it is just the same. It is nice. Would recommend. Story 55. Slow morning walks and coffee sound relaxing. I do something similar, except I spill the coffee, curse at squirrels, and question my life choices. Want to trade? Story 56. Not getting yelled at. I swear to God, on the way to the Bay Area Rapid Transit Station, I was looking out the window for a cliff to ask my angry Uber driver to just drive off so we could die and I could never come back home. I wish I was joking though. Story 57. Not much about bachelor life. I find having a partner to spend life with pretty neat. Now that we have a child, I sometimes miss pre-child life. I hope we, as a couple, can survive the next 10 years of passing the baton until we can have child-free time together again. Story 58. Nothing. Not being corny, but truly nothing. I used to be miserable and lonely. My partner is the class clown of our home and loves doing the household jobs that I truly hate, such as home maintenance and organizing. I absolutely do not miss coming home to an empty house where I cooked for one and filled my evenings with work or random outings with friends. Story 59. Sleeping in bed alone. I can't fall asleep with someone touching me. He has a deviated septum, so as soon as he's out, he snores. We both run very hot. I want separate bedrooms or even just separate beds so badly. Story 60. Peace and quiet. Doing what I want when I want. Most of all, the sex. I had so much sex before I caught feelings and married a nun. None today, none tonight, none tomorrow. Story 61. Literally, I miss nothing about being single. I have been married for more than 25 years. Losing my wife or one of our children is my single biggest fear in life. Story 62. Having the happiness and inspiration drained from me by a person who questions and criticizes almost every decision and interest. Story 63. None of it, to be honest. I married an awesome woman, and while we don't have the exact same hobbies, we have similar habits and respect each other. There is literally nothing I could do as a bachelor that I either cannot do now or would rather do instead of what I have now. I do not know if it sounds weird or not, but I love the routine of being a husband and father. Story 64. Damn near everything. I spent 10 years happily divorced, doing whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, being spontaneous. I just load a backpack and my dog into the truck and take off for days at a time, sometimes with no real plan on where I was going. I miss having quiet whenever I wanted and loud whenever I wanted. Hanging out with friends last minute. I could go to bed early or stay up all night playing video games. I miss a large variety of beer in the fridge, pizza boxes on the counter, or simply being able to stick to a diet when I was consuming too much beer and pizza. I miss casinos, bars, hotel rooms, and first-class flights. I miss guy movies, action, adventure, and horror. I miss walking around the house in my boxers. I miss my dog being allowed to sleep on my bed, ride in the car, and cuddle with me on the couch without causing someone else extreme anxiety due to fur. I miss not having to explain what I'm doing every time I leave the room. I miss not having to narrate every action I'm taking, just making a sandwich, babe, or, yes, I know this is my third beer. No, I don't think it's a good idea, but I'm having it anyway. Most of all, I miss being me. Story 65. I miss being able to walk around my house naked and masturbate wherever I wanted without my wife making insensitive remarks about the size of my penis. I have discussed with her how those comments make me feel, but it seems like she does not even care. Story 66. Doing chores on my schedule without hurrying because I don't want to hear complaints. Not having to explain purchases made from our joint account. Not fighting over money when they believe things are tight and I do not. They are very money conscious and want to save. I don't mind saving, but when does the tight control end? I don't consider having thousands in savings tight, considering the economy and struggles of many others right now. But because we've lost some due to inflation, they are stressed. Sex. Spontaneous sex. When the kids are not around. Passion and intimacy in general, not just sexual. Not having to attend any in-law holidays or parties if I don't want to. Cooking a lot. I'm a simple air fryer or pizza kind of person. So much more. But there's a lot I'd miss if we weren't married as well. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.